The name of this segment is Persistence is Required, and oh how true that is. Many people give up way too early. They get a feeling that they want to do something, that feeling that they have inside their heart, and then they go for it, but then if it doesn't happen right away, they quit. This is I'm going to say a plague in our society right now. Everybody wants things to happen quickly. However, in the reality of life and in the universe, if you want to put it that way, anything that's worthwhile is going to take some time to accomplish. I want to share a story about somebody that we all know, the creator of the light bulb, Mr. Thomas Edison. Mr. Thomas Edison is known as the inventor of the light bulb. Now, I know there's going to be so many different stories out there, but the key to what I'm wanting to talk about here is Thomas Edison's persistence. And there are so many different reports out there. I've heard everything from he had 1,000 failed experiments to 15,000 failed experiments before he figured out the light bulb. Again, that's not what I want to focus on here. Thomas Edison started out with this concept of, I want to do this light bulb. I also read in some of his writings that he said he wanted to invent a candle that would never burn out. Now, there were some other researchers before him who kind of came up with some of the concepts of it, but he's the one that was able to finally perfect it and make it happen. The thing about this invention that is so cool to me is it's something that had never been done before. It was more or less a feeling. It was more or less something that he had in his heart that he says, you know what, the world could use this, and there's got to be a way to make it happen. Electricity was the big thing back there in the late 1800s that was discovered by Ben Franklin, and how they could capture it and create certain types of static electricity and whatnot. And so it was a big thing going on, but this was just a very creative time in our history. Well, Thomas Edison just really, with his determination, said, we're going to make this happen. One of the phrases that he said that really has helped me throughout my life is this one right here. After they had had their 1,000th failure, Thomas Edison stood up amongst all of his colleagues and said something pretty profound. With them wanting to ditch this whole process, saying, Thomas, maybe this isn't supposed to happen. Maybe it isn't meant to be. Thomas stopped for a minute and he said, gentlemen, we have not failed 1,000 times. We have simply found 1,000 ways that the light bulb will not work. And the trick is going on to 1,001. Let that sink in for a moment. How would you have been if you'd had 1,000 failures and you just still had a feeling to keep going and you didn't want to? Have you ever been there before? How many of us give up after 10 tries? How many of us give up after one? Again, this is a real thing. Learning to make up your mind ahead of time what it is that you want to accomplish and know that it's going to take this perseverance in order to do it is key. Just know that things take time. The key is to enjoy the journey. And we'll get into that a little bit later on in some of the other segments. But if you need somebody to refer back to, a gentleman who has shown the world what persistence is all about, Mr. Thomas Edison is somebody that's good to research. He had over 1,000 U.S. patents, and a lot of his patents came from failures that he had while he was trying to create the light bulb. There were several times that in the process he blew up his laboratory and caught things on fire and everything, and he just would actually stop and say, okay, what did you do? What did you do to make that happen? And he was able to capture a lot of those things, and it ended up being some of the products that we now have today. Again, research him and you'll find out about those 1,000+ patents that he has. But you could do the same thing. Enjoy the journey. What things will you discover along the way that you're not thinking about right now? In your journey to go out and get what it is you want, you're going to see all kinds of exciting things happen if you're willing to pursue it.